Thank you, Terrence, and thank you everybody for being here today. It's great to see so many folks turn out. Really appreciate that. And as Michaela has so kindly put in the chat, please do stay for the entirety of the meeting so we can continue to conduct our business. So I would like to call this meeting to order at 11:56 a.m. My name is Emily. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the president of the Capilano Students Union. And once again, just really appreciate that you're all here today. Before we go any further, though, I would like to take some time to for us all to acknowledge the lands that we're joining from today. If you are in so-called Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, or anywhere on Turtle Island, also known as North America, you are on stolen land. So if you don't know whose lands you are on, I encourage you to use this resource, nativeland.ca, as a starting point to find out whose territories you're joining from today. And I invite you to share that in the chat with folks if you feel compelled to. So I am an uninvited guest and a settler of British and Scottish ancestry, and I reside and I'm joining you from the stolen and unsurrendered territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples who have stewarded these lands and waters since time immemorial. And I share my ancestry with you all to situate myself on these territories and to remind myself and all of you that my presence here is an act of occupation. So while I was born on these lands, and these are the only homes that this is the only home that I know, I still have uniquely benefited from living on this territory under colonial rule. And unless I'm actively standing with Indigenous land defenders and water protectors and working to return these lands to the original inhabitants and stewards, I too am complicit in the colonial project of Canada. So I also want to include in this acknowledgement that for this meeting, we are going to be working with some very colonial processes, Robert's Rules of Order, bylaws, etc. And these processes have been and are still used to exclude people from decision-making spaces and to prioritize certain education and understanding over others. So at the CSU, we do endeavor to make our spaces as accessible as possible, but I know that if you haven't used Rules of Order for meetings before, it can be overwhelming. So for this meeting, we are using the Zoom webinar format. So if you have any questions or concerns about the proceedings, or if things are unclear, please use the Q&A function. Folks are already using the chat to ask questions. That's great as well. We do have staff and folks that can help you if you have any concerns, and we'll do our best to answer those questions and address any confusion as quickly as possible. So at this point, I would like to hand over the chairing of the meeting to our external chair, and this will require a motion. So after the motion is moved and seconded, we'll be asking folks to vote, and you can do that by using the raise hand feature in the webinar meeting. So what I am looking for is for someone to move the motion that be it resolved that Titus Gregory be ratified as the chair for the special general meeting. Looking for a mover and a seconder. Thank you, folks. I see Hassan Morali has moved and Grace Dupaquier has seconded. As many as are in favor of the motion, please raise your hand using that feature there at the bottom. And I'll just wait a moment to give folks a chance to vote. Just click that raise hand function. If there are any opposition, or please put that in the chat, or you just not raise your hand. Okay, I'm seeing and hearing no opposition to the motion. So that motion is now carried, and I will turn over the chairing to Titus. Thank you so much, folks.
Thank you, everybody. My name is Titus Gregory. I'll be the chair of this special general meeting of the Capilano Students Union. I'll briefly explain the rules of procedure. The CSU is a non-for-profit organization incorporated into the Societies Act. One of the unique aspects of the CSU is that its members consist of every single student at Capilano University. Thus, if you are a student at CapU, you are automatically a member of the CSU, and as a result, you have the right to participate as a voting member at the CSU's general meetings. You have the right to move motions, to second motions, to participate in debate, and to vote. Now, exactly how we do this is a little bit complicated because we're currently conducting this meeting virtually, but there are procedures to enable meetings via Zoom. So today we'll be having two motions that will be put forward to propose amendments to the bylaws of the CSU, which is the basic core governing documents of the CSU. I'll just send you a link to the bylaws. There you go. In the chat box, we have a link to the bylaws as they currently stand as the core governing documents of the CSU. We'll be debating two motions to amend these bylaws. And pursuant to the Societies Act, we need a 2/3 vote in order to pass any change to the bylaws. If you have any questions to ask at any point during this meeting, you can use the raise hand feature in Zoom. You can also use the Q&A function at the bottom of the Zoom window if you have any brief questions concerning the procedure to use during this meeting. So I'll ask, are there any questions? Seeing none, we'll proceed to item 4, adoption of the agenda. I'll ask for a motion to adopt the agenda of this meeting. A move du Pasquier. Is there a seconder? Seconded Scarpetta-Lee. Any discussion? Seeing none, everyone who votes in favor of the agenda, please use the raise hand feature. Okay, now we're voting on the agenda right now. So now I'll ask to those who raise your hands, please lower your hands. And now all those who wish to vote against the agenda, please raise your hands. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried. We'll now proceed to the main business of this meeting, which is consideration of special resolutions. Item 5A in the agenda is entitled Constituency Associations and Black Students Union. And so I'll read out the motion. First, I'll ask that the motion be projected on the screen so that people can follow along. The Constituency Associations motion is not currently on the screen. Oh, it's available in the chat box. I'm sorry. It reads, be resolved a special resolution that A, the bylaws be amended in bylaw 1 to add a new definition as follows. Constituency association means an unincorporated association of members recognized by the board that represents a marginalized population of students at Capilano University. B, the bylaws be amended in bylaw 1 to amend the definition of general election to read as follows. General election means an election in which all seats on the board are up for election except for constituency liaisons and student representatives on the University Board of Governors and the University Senate. C, the bylaws be amended in bylaw 6 sub 1 sub B to read as follows. Representatives of each of the following collectives, unless the corresponding collective has been replaced by constituency association, in which that position will be replaced by constituency liaison pursuant to bylaw 6 sub 1 sub C, namely the Students of Color liaison, the Accessibility Justice Coordinator, the Indigenous Students Liaison, the International Students Liaison, the Queer Students Liaison, the Women's Students Liaison, the Mature and Parent Students Liaison, and the Black Students Liaison. D, the bylaws be amended in bylaw 6 sub 1 by adding a new subparagraph C to read as follows, with the remaining paragraphs being renumbered accordingly. One constituency liaison for each constituency association elected or appointed in accordance with the bylaws of the corresponding constituency association. And E, that the bylaws be amended to add a new bylaw 6 after bylaw 5 to read as follows, with the remaining bylaws being renumbered accordingly. This bylaw shall read 1. In this bylaw, A, Constitution means a statement of the name and purposes of a constituency association, and B, means a statement of the rules by which a constituency association is to govern itself, which must include the definition of a member of a constituency association, and in what circumstances of vacancy or inactivity, the Capilano Students Union must suspend the constituency association and conduct an election for a collective liaison instead. 2, the purpose of a constituency association is to represent and serve a community of members who share an experience of systemic oppression. 3, the board may, by 2/3 resolution of the board, vote to recognize the constituency association, provided that A, the constituency association has constitution and bylaws that have been approved at a meeting of the members of the constituency association. B, the constituency association is elected or appointed executive team by whatever name or title the team is designated the constituency association's bylaws of at least 3 members. C, the constituency association holds general meetings that are open to all members of the constituency association and provides notice of these meetings to its members. And D, the membership of the constituency association overlaps with or duplicates the membership of a collective, the board must determine in the resolution whether the constituency association is to replace the collective for the purposes of membership on the board. F, the bylaws be amended by replacing bylaw 15 sub 2 to read as follows. A member of the board may be removed from office by A, a special resolution of general meeting, or B, in the case of a constituency liaison, in accordance with the bylaws of the constituency association. G, the bylaws be amended in bylaw 13 by adding a new section after section 7 to read as follows, the remaining sections being renumbered accordingly. The Black Students Liaison shall A, chair and coordinate meetings and activities of their collective. B, be responsible for keeping the board informed of issues concerning self-identified Black members of the society. C, coordinate campaigns and events which promote the equality and elimination of oppression against self-identified Black people. And D, perform such other duties may be assigned by the board. And finally, H, the bylaws be amended in bylaw 13 by adding a new section 8 after section 7 to read as follows, with the remaining sections being renumbered accordingly. A constituency liaison shall A, be responsible for keeping the board informed of issues concerning the members of the corresponding constituency association. B, perform such other duties may be assigned by the corresponding constituency association. And C, perform such other duties may be assigned by the board. Okay, is there a mover of this motion? Moved Thwaites, seconded Mewa. Okay, who would like to speak to this motion? I'll turn the floor over to Representative Kidane.
Hello. Thank you, Titus. For those who don't know me, my name is Faven. I am the current Students of Color Liaison, and I'm really happy that we got quorum today, because last time we tried to do this, it didn't work. And then if we wouldn't have gotten quorum today, I would have been out of a job, and this would not have not happened until the fall. But then I'd have to, anyways. Pretty much, we want to make a Black Students Union, and we also would like a Black Students Liaison to be the bridge between that union and the CSU. We hate being treated unfairly. We need representation. This is just like, it's something that's so crucial to the Black experience, knowing that you have the support and the right and the power to do things that affect your community, especially in school when people are so busy with their own thing and the university is only concerned about money, that they don't really care about anybody who's going through anything. And so this is the time for Black students to be able to have that voice for themselves and not have to wait for somebody to give them a megaphone to be like, okay, how you feeling? You know? I honestly don't really know what to say. All I want to say is that this is something that has been needed for far too long. I only know of like 2 other schools in BC that have this, and that's a real issue because Black people are extremely underrepresented. And if it wasn't for a friend of mine at a different school, I would have never known that there were even Black people in student politics at all. And that's also an issue. So we got to push this forward. We got to get the voice out. And we got to make that change for Black kids.
Thank you, Ms. Kidane. I'll ask for other debate at the present time. Seeing no debate at the present time, we'll go to a vote. 2/3 vote is required. All in favor of the resolution, please use the raise hand feature at the present time. Thank you. Please lower your hands right now. Now, all those who wish to vote against the resolution, please raise your hand at the present time. The resolution carries. Congratulations, Ms. Kadani.
Thank you very much. Stay tuned for some big things.
Okay. Thankfully, the next resolution will be a whole lot shorter. We're good for my voice. But item 5.2 pertains to board attendance. The motion reads, be resolved as a special resolution that the bylaws be amended in bylaw 15 by adding a new clause 5 as follows. A member of the board is absent from 3 consecutive meetings of the board without the board's authorization, or from 6 meetings of the board, whether or not consecutively, during the term of office without the board's authorization, and that board member may, having received at least 2 weeks' notice, be removed from office by a 2/3 resolution of the board. The board may, by policy, set rules providing for the authorization of certain absences and providing for how partial attendance is to be interpreted under this bylaw. Is there a mover of this motion? Moved Amela, seconded Edmund Strachan. Okay, discussion.
Hello, everybody. My name is Trevor. If you don't know me yet, I am an at-large representative here on the CSU board. I'm going to talk about this motion a little bit. Chris has put a very nice TLDR in the chat, which stands for too long, didn't read, in case you were wondering. But yes, essentially, as it stands, or not as it stands, always the board does not have the approval to override anything that the membership does. And in the case of electing a board member, that is, of course, the membership. That is all you folks who vote for who goes on the board. And so in order to make somebody not on the board anymore, we have to go through the membership through something like this meeting. Adding this to the bylaws, again, approved by the membership, will allow us to, in the case that somebody is not attending meetings, we haven't heard from them, then we can remove that person from their board position so that we will be able to then hold a by-election and elect someone else into that position who will attend. So that is 3 consecutive meetings or from 6 meetings, whether or not consecutively within the year-long term of office. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Further discussion? George McNally, do you wish to speak to this motion? No. All right. It appears that there's no discussion. So we'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of this motion, please use the raise hands feature. Thank you. Please raise your hands. Please lower your hands at the present time. And I'll ask all those who are opposed to the present motion to raise your hands. Okay, the motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. Morton. And this concludes the business of this meeting. So I will hereby adjourn the meeting and turn the floor over to Terrence Alanis.